So Maria appeared in Brazil. The people have recognized it, but has the Vatican? The mother and her son on top of a mountain in Pernambuco, talking with two girls named Maria. Looking up, they had the impression of seeing a very beautiful woman with a boy in her arms, and the boy was waving. The most well-known, Sister Adélia, is in the process of beatification, but why did she spend 49 years in silence? And what about the other seer of Simbres, Maria da Conceição? Why did she practically disappear from history? At the invitation of a group that includes some of the biggest supporters of the cause, as well as the nuns who lived with Sister Adélia, Jornada Infinita came to Pernambuco.
Blessed are you among women.
And you come along with us. The journey begins here, in one of the oldest cities in Brazil, where one day Mauricio de Nassau had his zoo, a city that once belonged to the Dutch, the first planned city in the Americas, a place that once wanted to separate from the rest of the country. It's a city full of stories, where a certain street has had 12 absolutely curious names like Goat Street, Jew Street, Laziness Street, Cross Street, and well, after many others, the name that stuck was really Good Jesus Street. I mentioned Jews, but that wasn't by chance. Here in downtown Recife, the oldest synagogue in Brazil is still standing, built in 1636. That's a subject for another time. And here, at the city's zero milestone, I meet Ione Maria Cavalcante Paiva, my guide on this journey.
It's so good to have you here. We've been waiting for this moment for so long.
She is the author of the most comprehensive book about the apparitions in Simbres, telling everything that Sister Adélia saw and experienced. She was given the mission to report and spread news about the apparitions. To begin our journey, could you share how you became involved in Sister Adélia's life?
It was during a very difficult time in my life. I went to her for advice, and then she invited me to work with her.
Just like that, all of a sudden?
Just like that, all of a sudden. She didn't tell me anything about her life, and I didn't ask. I just told her about my life.
And suddenly she was telling you about her life.
To me, that's exactly when she called me. We spent a year together working in underprivileged communities, in churches, in cenacles. And then she said, Ione, the time has come. Does Our Lady want these apparitions from Sitio Guarda to be known?
We crossed Recife. And now we are arriving at the traditional Damas School, in the same complex of buildings that houses the congregation of the Sisters of Christian Instruction. How good it is to receive the affection of these sisters.
You are very welcome. And her husband, Carlos.
I'm also introduced to Fernanda Gadelha, a great enthusiast for the cause of Sister Adélia's beatification. Fernanda and her mother came from Brasilia to join us on the trip. How wonderful, we're traveling together, right? Tomorrow? Well, thank you, Fernanda. You were the one who found us, right? Thank you, let me give you a hug. Thank you, you know, you do so many beautiful things. You played Lourdes, Fatima, and we have that in Brazil, that's right. We're just starting to do it now, so here we are, and look who's coming. This is Sister Vivian, a great companion of Sister Adélia here at the convent. What a joy. Can I give you a hug? Of course, how are you?
Me too, by Lourdes.
Thank you, okay?
For you, welcome.
It's a blessing from God, right?
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very beautiful here, very pleasant. You're going to show us the whole place so we can get to know it. Sister Vivian shows me the mementos that are in a small museum about Sister Adélia. The seer of Simbres lived here for many decades. She came here when she was still a teenager, only a few years after having a series of visions in which she spoke with Mary, the mother of Jesus. At the time, Sister Adélia was still known by her baptismal name, Maria da Luz, and she was only 13 years old. Alongside another visionary, Maria da Conceição, the young woman from Pernambuco reported long conversations with Our Lady. On top of this rock, which Sister Adélia and Sister Viviane are now pointing out to me in the photo. My mission in search of relics and sacred places is to get up there. Many of the nuns who welcomed me were her companions here in the convent.
Then she started walking through the thorns, went through the tree, all of that. She stopped here and turned like this and said, "Here," told them to take the picture. And when it was developed, there it was. The guy was amazed.
The reports of the apparitions were between 1936 and 1937, exactly 90 years ago. That's what a tradition that's getting stronger here in Brazil has been calling the apparitions of Our Lady of Graces at the Guarda site, or simply the Simbres apparitions. This is up there.
This was at the time when they asked for a sign here. She gave a sign. It was water.
After the visions, after also being reprimanded for talking about something that wasn't recognized by the church. Maria da Luz came to live here in the convent, and since then she started to be called by her new name, Sister Adélia. The chest was hers.
Everything. It was the watch,
The one that was in the sister's room.
the crucifix, because we all have a crucifix by the bed now. She used to go to the closet a lot with this little jacket because it was very cold there.
Sister Adélia spent 49 years in silence here at the convent. She didn't say anything about the apparitions. Only in 1985 did she finally decide to tell her story, and Sister Viviane was one of those who heard that account firsthand.
There were rumors that Lampion was wandering around there in the countryside. He spent a lot of time there and she was very afraid. Then Our Lady appeared asking for prayer and penance.
Lampion killed, a lot of people killed. The visit continues, and I keep learning more and more about the story of Sister Adélia and the apparitions of Simples. Something inside me wants to go there right away. But before that, we all went to the area next to the church to see the ossuary that holds the mortal remains of the servant of God, Sister Adélia, on the day she becomes a saint. And I think that day is coming. This will be a first-class relic. I can already imagine the crowds of pilgrims coming here. It was a little later in that same place that we heard the moving testimony of Ione Paiva.
And she gives me this responsibility when there were so many other people she could have given it to, right? To write for. And she gave it to me, and I accepted with all my courage, saying, "Oh my, this work isn't mine, it's yours, help me."
The conversation with Ione was for an episode of In 3 Acts, which we aired a few days later. Were you already a writer?
No, I never wrote anything besides this book, just essays in school.
It was a calling that you received.
I received this calling.
It's getting late. Thank you very much, sisters. Thank you to Fernanda, to Fernanda's mother, who came, also to Dilene, who's hiding over there. Thank you to everyone. And I need to sleep too, because we're hitting the road really early tomorrow. What a day, huh? It was a really great day, one not to forget. Now I also won't forget how hot it is here in Recife. It's going to be even worse in Simbres, because that's the gateway to the backlands. Recife woke up sunny again. Today is the day of our trip, but before we leave, I want to learn more about this epiphany. Back in downtown Recife, I meet with Ione again, and she comes accompanied by a friend, Father João Carlos de Almeida, a communicator with 3 doctorates and a theological perspective on the apparitions that I will soon visit. I know Father Joãozinho well, but not personally.
Theologian, Mariologist.
Our conversation about the beatification process of Sister Adélia, who is increasingly known as the visionary of Simples. Our work at Jornada Infinita is investigative. It's a work of documentation, of creating documents, and to document. We need information, qualified people to help us understand. How can we understand a phenomenon that happened in 1936, which is understood as an apparition of Maria, starting to gain strength in this moment we're living in now?
Sister Adélia, she lived in great silence for a long time since she entered religious life and became Maria da Luz. Maria da Luz became Sister Adélia, and Sister Adélia took a vow of silence. That's something curious, isn't it? Because at that time, saying that she had seen Our Lady on top of a quarry, she, Maria da Luz, together with Maria da Conceição, was something unusual. And she accepts it, because her vocation was more important than the apparition. And here we already have a sign of authenticity, the authenticity of the spiritual experience. That wasn't the most important thing in the world for her. In other words, Sister Adélia has an air of holiness. Then you ask me, why only now? Because now the beatification process has begun. The church is starting to recognize that there was a woman there, happy in everything she did. Beato means that happy, right? And Sister Adélia had her process started by the Diocese of Pesqueira itself with Dom José Luis, and the diocesan phase has ended and was sent to. And with that, everyone starts to look at Simbres as a place of happiness as well. With or without Sister Adélia, because Sister Adélia Maria da Conceição may not be there, but Mary is present, just as she is wherever her son Jesus is. So people start to realize that we have a Brazilian Fatima. That's what the historians notice.
There's a greater closeness with Fatima.
Fatima, because they are illiterate, poor children who have eyes to see. Sister Adélia didn't know exactly what she was seeing that Maria da Luz she would look and see. Our Lady of Grace or of Graces, there are both versions. And she would simply say, I'm seeing a lady who gives me good advice, who tells me beautiful things. And her spiritual director,
Father Kelly.
Father Kelly was surprised when he went to interview Our Lady. That is, for me, the most fantastic fact of the spiritual experience. He goes there in that huge quarry with the sun. The girls climbed up quickly and were seeing Our Lady. And then he said, then I want to see too. And she said, no. She said she will only appear to us. I mean, you have to have the eyes of a child to see the mystery. But he asked the question, okay, I can't see her, but does she see me? And then Our Lady, she said to both of them, I can see him and hear him too. She answered everything he asked, actually. An interesting detail is that being German in 1936 during World War II, with communism advancing in the world, this is already present in the Fatima phenomenon of 1917 as well. It was a little earlier. He asked questions out of his curiosity as a German. Will communism dominate the world? She answers. All of this is recorded and documented in the beatification process of Sister Adélia, but they were his questions, not her messages.
What was her message?
Her message is always the same because Our Lady simply repeats what she heard from her son. She doesn't have a new revelation. She appears to confirm that we need to pray, we need to convert, and that she is an instrument in her son's hands to pour out the necessary graces, right? That's why Our Lady gives grace. The angel Gabriel said to her, rejoice full of grace, and she never forgot that. Angel.
The angel Grace said, rejoice full of grace.
We are back at the convent again, now to pick up Sister Viviane and the group that is with her. Right at the beginning, I find out that the trip will also be blessed by Maria.
Conceived without sin. Amen.
Well, I'll take this opportunity to introduce the travelers to you. Andre Felipe is a historian who has been helping document the apparitions. He was a notary in the diocesan process that made Sister Adélia a servant of God. This is Fernanda Gadelha, whom you already know, a very devoted lawyer who came from Brasilia to experience this moment. And she came bringing her mother, Ana Lucia, a fervent Catholic who is carrying in her hand an image that we can already call Our Lady, a symbol. Thank you, Lucia.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb.
I feel like this could be my own magical mystery tour, a magical and mysterious journey to the backlands of Pernambuco, which will be inspiring. I have no doubt about it. I just haven't realized yet how hot it is there, but soon enough I'll find out. Our first stop, 215 kilometers from Recife, is Pesqueira, a city of 60,000 inhabitants and a lot of faith in the Cathedral of St. Agatha. The one who welcomes me is Father Mailson, recently appointed rector of the Sanctuary of Simbres. Father Mailson, with joy.
Rodrigo Alvarez, we welcome you here in the Diocese of Pesqueira with joy.
Father, we know that at the time the Bishop of Pesqueira, Bishop Sobral, did not approve the devotion. When the apparitions were reported by Sister Adélia and Maria da Conceição, how did that change in the Church? What is your understanding now as you become the sanctuary's rector?
I am already taking over in a reality where the diocese has given its approval. So, when we look back a little, we realize that the Church is very prudent in these matters. It remains silent, as in the case of the children. It preferred that they remain silent, even to protect their lives a little more.
The two girls?
The two girls, because a large flow of people started, and the family's peace was already being affected. So the bishop asks them to be quiet for a while, and then the investigations begin. I believe that's where the Church's prudence comes in, being able to ask people to wait a little.
Because what we know is that the bishop at the time didn't believe it would later be Sister Adélia. When was it, or what is the understanding today? Was there an apparition in Cimbres?
For sure, but this also happened in Guadalupe, it also happened in other places. The three little shepherds also weren't given credibility. So in a hurry, the Church is very cautious. It waits, asks people to pray, and starts the visitations. It takes years and years for all of this to be approved.
Do you expect that, just like in Fatima, there will be recognition from the Vatican of the apparitions in Simbres?
The first step has already been taken. Now we wait through prayer and work.
So we can understand that the beatification of Sister Adélia will be a recognition of the apparitions.
For sure, because no one can see Our Lady unless they are a saint. No one can see the Virgin Mary unless they are a saint. And the Vatican asks the diocese to follow this path, to canonize, so that we can pray, ask God, and for miracles to happen so that the beatification of Sister Adélia can take place.
Thank you very much.
Father Praiser Rodrigo.
Thank you for having me. While Father Mailson takes the group through the church, the historian Andre Felipe has something to tell me. Andre, why did you want to show me this place here?
In the Cathedral of St. Agatha, there was an apparition of Our Lady during the period of apparitions, in the first period of apparitions, which did not happen at the sanctuary. On the day of Sister Adélia's First Communion, which took place in this cathedral on August 15, 1936,
from what you told me, she must have been about where we are right now.
Yes, we can't know the exact spot, but the account says that after she made her First Communion and received the ribbon of Daughter of Mary, which was a youth association for young people at the time, when she receives communion and returns to her place, kneeling down, she sees Our Lady just as she saw her on the mountain. There is no dialogue between the two, but she says that Our Lady was very happy because she had made her First Communion.
She says this happened here in the church.
She says it happened at Pesqueira Cathedral.
Where she saw the image?
She doesn't specify. We assume, as before and still today, that children taking their First Communion sit in the front pews. We imagine that it was in this area, here near the altar.
And that was just one of many that kept happening.
Yes. After that, the apparitions returned to normal there at Sitio Guarda on the mountain, now called Aldea Guarda, which at the time was called Sitio on the Mount of Apparitions.
So after that one here, she saw it other times.
The first cycle of apparitions continued until September.
She will see it again at the Guarda site.
Yes, she returns to the Guarda site.
Why were you interested in this story?
As a Pernambucano, I've heard this story since I was a child. And later, working at the Dharma Sisters School, we started to dig deeper to do a project at the school, and then it just stuck with me. I met Ione, and then came the process of editing the book, which we took part in, and things just went on. I kept digging deeper into the research, and we're still at it today.
One of the first appearances happened right here at St. Agatha Cathedral in Pesqueira. The story of St. Agatha is very impressive. I was in Malta. We saw the catacombs where she is said to have spent 3 years after being tortured and having her breasts cut off by order of a Roman governor. It was a time of great persecution of Christianity, precisely because she did not give in to the pressures to abandon her religion years later. Maria da Luz, the girl who saw the apparitions and later became known as Sister Adélia, had breast cancer. Saint Agatha is now known as the patron saint of women with breast cancer. The stories have connected more than once, and this moment, when Sister Adélia was diagnosed with cancer, is fundamental to our story. The day is coming to an end and the group decided to rest. But after so much walking, I decided to allow myself a little self-indulgence at the Arawi restaurant, a delightful moment. Now, yes, I need to sleep too. Today I'm going to see Our Lady stepping on the serpent's head. Oh, I definitely will. The day already starts on the road. It's 22 kilometers from Pesqueira to Simbres, where the sanctuary is. And right when I arrive, I find the first image. All the time here at the sanctuary, we see references to Our Lady of Graces first in this image that was given as a gift to Sister Adélia, which was brought here to the sanctuary. And right below, the image of the miraculous medal, a large reproduction of the miraculous medal of Saint Catherine Labouré in Paris. And here on the medal we have the image of Our Lady crushing the serpent that always attacks us. It reminds us of the understanding of the first Christians back in the 2nd century, starting with Irenaeus. When Mary began to be seen as the redeemer of Eve's sin, the one who crushed the serpent that took humanity out of paradise. The simple little shops offer many products related to the apparition. Good morning. It's like this all over the world, isn't it? From Lourdes to Fatima, from Aparecida to simple good morning, my friend. How are you? Here we have the serpent again. This is the first one, because the boy was in his arms, that's all. Lunch is at the house of Sister Adélia's cousin. And right there next to the chapel built after the apparitions. Sister Vivian helps me understand the geography of the Guarda site and the chronology of the events. What is that stone over there that you showed me?
That stone, the first time they were here of Our Lady, they were with a Mona down here. Back then everything was full of Mona, everything.
It was all full of Mona. It was Mona.
But also Our Lady.
There was a plantation.
There were plantations, there was corn, there were beans, there was everything. That's how it all started. When they arrived, they were very afraid because there were always champions walking around this area.
Lampion was terrifying people here in the region.
And they were very afraid, so one of them said, if Lampion came here, what would we do? She said, Our Lady would protect us then. When they looked up, they saw a lightning bolt, a little rain, and a very beautiful lady with a child in her arms calling them. They went up here flying, they don't know how.
Up there.
Up there was nothing like what we see now. They went up, stayed there for as long as they wanted maybe. Then they came down at the highest speed. And they came to tell their mother who lived there. They went to tell their mother. That's when the whole story began.
And she told her mother, and her mother, Mrs. Alta, believed her?
No, they kept talking like that, talking outside on the sidewalk. Then Mrs. Alta told her father. They came asking where she was, that she wasn't going to have lunch there. Mrs. Alta said she was caught up in that story over there. She didn't know what it was. Then they started wanting to know when they went there. Her father gathered some strength and called 2 employees to check because he thought there was someone behind it. To scare her.
For example, from Lampio's gang?
Then they started coming up here with a lot of effort, opening the doors, everything just to get through. When they noticed she was already up there, she climbed as if it were nothing.
She was up there. The 2 girls arrived quickly.
Faster, while he was struggling because it was being counted.
And the girls were Maria da Luz and her friend Maria da Conceição, who was a little older. She was 16 years old. It was Maria da Luz, who later became a nun, Adélia did. And then, when they got there, the father saw Our Lady up there.
No, he told her that Our Lady was there, but he didn't see anything. Only the girls saw her, the 2 who saw her. Then they came back, and when they came back, the story started. It began to spread a lot, the whole story, and a lot of people started coming from everywhere. They say this place was just dirt. It was all gone. So many people came here. And then their father told them to ask who she was and what she wanted. And then she said she was the Mother of Grace and wanted to ask for prayer and penance.
Do you think that soon Sister Adélia will be canonized, will become Saint Adélia?
I think so, and I hope to see it. She will, God willing, I want to see it.
For you, she is already a saint.
It's because if it weren't for the work she did, and I know the work she did, she was a very simple, very humble person. She used to say she wasn't worthy of seeing Our Lady because she was a great sinner, and she asked people to pray for her conversion. And I know that everything she did, she was a person without any malice. That was the story, because I was with her all the time too. She was never rude to me, never, never.
You took great care of her.
I used to follow her around, she not me. I wouldn't let anyone touch her, because if someone tried, she would say, "Don't touch me, no, I'm a saint." Then she would say she was going to die and leave this story without anyone knowing.
You didn't know the story yet, no?
No, I knew she had seen Our Lady and I wanted to know, but she wouldn't tell.
Ma'am, you were with her sister for years and she never said anything.
No, she didn't say anything. Once she told me, since she knew I wanted to know, then she said, "I'll tell you up to where I stop. Don't ask me any questions." Then she started to tell me, but I don't remember anymore. I only remember the last words.
What were they?
That she said, "Nossa Senhora." When did she say Nossa Senhora? She appeared up there with lightning, with a strong light, and the same thing I just said, with lightning. It was with lightning. The light was really strong like this. It caught your attention, thunder.
What did you see when you arrived, ma'am? Was there another apparition?
Yes, for her there was. The first time we saw it, she gathered the community, we came, and she was there. There was nothing like there is today, but there was a little house, like in the book. There was a little house, there was a little window, and everyone would stay inside. She sat on a rock that was there and started telling the story and passing it on. There wasn't any water that day.
There was no water at the spring.
Then she said that was the spring that Our Lady gave, telling the whole story, right? And she started to run her hand over the spot where the water should be, and then after a while, water started to come out. I looked everywhere but found nothing, since I wasn't expecting any water. So I used it and I found a bottle cap. Then I kept scooping up the water and giving it to the sisters.
Because it was miraculous water.
Miraculous water, and everyone wanted it.
Right? Do you miss her?
A lot. I miss her, you know, suddenly her telling the story about this, and it just feels different, right? Then she said, "My people, everyone on your knees, Our Lady is present, she is beautiful," and everyone fell to their knees crying. I don't know why. It's such a strong emotion that we can't even define it. Everyone was crying so much. Because it's something we can't explain. No, we just don't know how to explain it. Thank you, sister. You're welcome. Thank you too. Vic, God bless your mission.
The historian Andre Felipe is almost like an angel in my journey. Now he takes me to see the house where Maria da Luz's family lived at the time when she had her visions. The person who currently lives here is one of the many indigenous people who became owners of the Guarda farm after a land division made by the federal government. Do you think her sister was a saint?
She doesn't talk much, so you just have to believe.
That she saw Our Lady, then she's going to become a saint. Sure.
Soon, a relative of the homeowner arrives talking about Maria da Conceição, the other seer of Simbres.
She dies, right? So they didn't accept her, right? Something about nuns. They only accepted her sister because she was black. It's because she was black. So they didn't accept her, that's for sure. It's not racism, it's just gossip. No, it wasn't racism for her. So they didn't accept her to go to be a nun, right? They only accepted the sister. How do you know that?
How do you know that?
Because it's true.
But who said?
Everyone here knows it's true. It's a rumor. It's not a rumor. You can ask everyone.
It's not a rumor. Yeah, it's not a rumor, no. The idea that Maria da Conceição disappeared from history just because she had dark skin comes up from time to time. But is that really what happened? What do they tell us? And Sister Vivian also says that Maria da Conceição didn't have a religious calling, and that's why she didn't have the same fate as her friend Maria da Luz, whom we now know as Sister Adélia. It's Sunday. The sanctuary receives many pilgrims, and I go down the first steps toward the mountain, a steep descent. It's just at the beginning. We'll soon discover the mountain ahead of us. But first I stray from the route. I go into the middle of the woods looking for the exact place where those two Marias experienced their epiphany. The city Brazil is Epiphania. It comes from the Greek epiphania and refers to something that manifests or becomes visible from above. Down here the ground is swampy, there's water running, and the forest is dense in many places. For those who see me from above, if they even see me, I'm nothing more than a tiny dot lost in all this green. And that's how it was in 1936 as well. The people from this region say that Maria da Luz and Maria da Conceição were walking here through this forest, picking castor beans. Because they wanted to go to a religious festival, but they didn't have any money, their family didn't have any money, and they wanted to sell the castor beans to earn some money, buy fabric, and be able to go to the festival. But it was a difficult time here because Lampion used to roam this region. They were terrified. Lampion had already warned that he was coming, and one of them asked, "What do we do if Lampion shows up?" The other said, "Our Lady is with us, she will protect us." And suddenly they got a fright. The basket of castor beans fell to the ground, but that wasn't important anymore. Suddenly it started to rain here in the forest, and the girls heard a crash, a lightning bolt that lit up everything all the way to the top of the mountain. Looking up, they had the impression of seeing a very beautiful woman holding a boy in her arms, and the boy was waving. Then it was the mother herself who started waving as if she was saying, "Come over here, girls." It was only on another day that the lady finally decided to speak to the girl. "Girl, I am Grace." The apparition, Maria da Luz reportedly said, then asked what, after all, the apparition wanted, and she replied, "I came to warn about 3 punishments that will be sent by God." It was necessary to pray and do penance. Maria da Luz's father didn't like that story at all. There was a threat from Lampion nearby, a murderous gang that could get the family. Many locals had already hidden in the woods. So Mr. Arthur decided to go with the 2 girls and climb up here, to the top of the mountain, to understand exactly what was happening now. At that time, there wasn't even this improvised cement staircase that I'm climbing now, much less the other one that the pilgrims use. Today it was necessary to face the mountain. While the girls were saying that they were seeing the apparition again and also hearing her, Arthur was immensely startled. A rock rolled down from the top, and what is told is that this rock jumped the father and the children, and they were saved. It would have been a miracle, a sign from Our Lady. In other encounters, according to reports, the apparition detailed its purposes, but never revealed what the 3 punishments would be. The reports say that the apparition made a spring of water flow from a crack in the rock. Sent to investigate the case, a German priest, Joseph Kerle, prepared a questionnaire with questions in Portuguese, Latin, and German to test what the girls were saying. Friar Estevão also entered the scene, and it was in response to his questions that the apparition threatened to punish Brazil. "What is that blood on your hand?" the girls asked, and the apparition's answer was something like, "Is it the blood that will flow in Brazil?" They were all worried, not knowing why the apparition spoke so much about blood and punishment, without even revealing what the punishment would be. And while Father Curl and Friar Estevão seemed more and more convinced that something supernatural was happening up here, another character appeared in the story, very suspicious. Father Marcus's suspicion reached the bishop, Dom Adalberto Sobral, who decided to prohibit the pilgrimages. And so, the seer of Simbres, Maria da Luz, began to suffer prejudice. Her father was even arrested. It was only when the girl decided to remain silent that she was accepted. In the convent in Recife, she left behind everything she had lived through and also her name. The seer Maria da Luz was now a nun. Sister Adélia dedicated herself to social work and spent 49 years in silence until in 1985 suddenly she decided to speak. I take my last steps, I climb the last stairs. And I see myself for the first time in front of the image. It was here, exactly here, that Maria da Luz saw Maria de Nazaré, and her friend Maria da Conceição saw her too. And a little later, they saw the boy Jesus Maria and her little son waving to them, the 2 Brazilian girls. Faced with something inexplicable, supernatural, the mother of Jesus showing her face for the first time to Brazil, was it a collective vision, or can we call it art? It is an apparition of Maria. The Vatican does not comment. The Diocese of Pernambuco, which at the time denied the devotion, now recognizes the sanctuary. But as I reflect before the sacred stone, I wonder if the Church hadn't recognized the apparition. Would Sister Adélia be on the path to canonization? I'm sure she wouldn't. There still isn't an official image of Our Lady of Grace or Our Lady of Graces, but we can already talk about a general feeling of holiness, and maybe, I believe so, of a true faith in the apparitions of symbols, a national faith that spreads and every day brings more pilgrims here. After many days, I finally arrived at the most sacred place on the Brazilian mountain, but I still haven't fulfilled my mission. They told me that right over there are the handprints of the lady chosen by God imprinted on the stone of Pernambuco. It's a risky mission. I need to challenge the cliff, but I'm doing well, accompanied by a local guide. After having the vision of death a few times before me, I finally arrive at the place that faith pointed me to. Did you see the arrival? It was dangerous, but I'm actually feeling more danger here because I don't have any support. The only place I can hold on to is down here. And here. So both marks. The local tradition says these are the feet of Our Lady, one foot, the left foot of Our Lady, and a slightly smaller foot of the child Jesus, according to Sister Adélia. In one of the apparitions here on the hilltop, Our Lady said, "I will leave as signs my footprint and the footprint of my son." She had already given another sign, according to Sister Adélia's account, which was the appearance of a water spring. And this place, even today, is considered a sacred place by the people who come here. A mark of the foot of Maria, Mother of Jesus, and the foot of the child Jesus. It's no accident. It's hard to get here. Some things we need to make an effort to be able to see. After traveling halfway around the world, visiting apparition sites like Fatima, Lourdes, Poma, and so many others, my new mission is accomplished. Now I am connected with the apparition of Simbres and with Sister Adélia. And finally, the moment arrives to listen to Ione, my guide through this harsh kariri, where my head heats up and my heart finds peace. We're in this hidden shade because the sun is too much, right?
It's very hot.
Now it's noon.
Exactly Angela's time.
It also wasn't the time of the apparition.
Time of the apparition, exactly August 6th, 1936, around noon, the hour of the Annunciation.
Love, what are you doing? But that day it rained.
The rain falls, but it doesn't get you wet. It's a rain of blessings. That's been happening since 1936, that little drizzle. A mist you feel on your skin, but it doesn't wet your clothes.
This was the place of the apparition.
Not exactly this spot the apparition appeared. Our Lady appeared here.
Right above us.
Right above where there's a white spot. Father Kerr used to say it was a white cloth spread over the rock.
Why was this location chosen for the sanctuary?
Because it's the best place, right? It's the closest, it really is. And they could build this staircase here.
And this image we have here behind you, when is it from?
It's from 1985. It was Mrs. Lydia Pagliuso from São Paulo who came with her husband. She received a blessing and brought it and came up. It's a very interesting story because she was placed in a construction cart, one of those wooden carts, and her husband, along with another man, pulled the cart up. Sister Vivian and Sister Adélia and she behind pushing.
Going up the hillside?
Up the hillside through the bushes, they climbed quickly.
But it doesn't seem like it would be easy.
No, just like it didn't seem on the day of the apparition that the girls could run up through these bushes. They didn't get scratched. They didn't hurt their faces.
And if he tries to climb up here without a ladder?
I actually climbed up in 1985. There was no ladder. Later, a staircase was carved into the hill with little steps. Then they covered those small steps with cement. After that, a proper staircase was built.
The third one was the one you had built. How did that happen?
Thank God.
You and your husband.
Me, my husband, and my sisters made it. We got the money, we built the stairs there, then it was improved and the handrail was added.
Who improved it later?
It was Zyron from the Estação Cruzeiro Hotel.
So it's all really popular, authentic stuff.
Authentic. No, there was no outside money from anyone. Just devotees of Our Lady who believed in the apparitions and came here. Us. When we arrived, there were, I don't know how many buses, I didn't even count, several vans, cars. There are people from all over and from outside. Now it's my turn to ask a question, may I?
Of course.
Did you feel anything different when you got here?
Here, it's magical, a place where you can feel the soul.
Whoever climbs the steps with love and faith comes down transformed. I already feel that emotion on the road. The other day, I was talking with Edeline and Sister Vivian, guys, my heart is beating with joy here. So when we come up here and overcome the tiredness from the stairs, look, I'm great here. I'm not a young girl, no, like you seem to be. So we feel this renewal of life. I came here to a place where Our Lady appeared. It's very grand. It's for those she calls, and when she calls, no matter what, the person comes.
That's it. It's an important point because I keep bringing the story, and we know that the story has many elements. There was a moment when the bishop forbade it right at the beginning. That's why Sister Adélia remained silent for 49 years. When did Catholics start to feel comfortable having this devotion again? If it still hasn't been recognized as an apparition by the Vatican.
Why did people start spreading it from 1985 on?
Because Sister Adélia started talking.
She started talking. That's when I wrote. The book started being distributed with authorization from the bishop at the time, Dom Manuel Palmera de Rocha. So like fire on dry straw, it spread by word of mouth.
But tell us how it was in 1985, exactly the year this image was brought, exactly. Sister Adélia, what made her decide to speak?
That she had been...
Forbidden?
She hadn't been. She asked to be forbidden.
But there was a prohibition from the bishop against the devotion.
Yes, and since she had been rejected by 2 schools, still as Maria da Luz, she was afraid to enter the convent, to be rejected for being the seer of Simbres. So she asked Father Curly to give her a penance, not to speak to anyone. The nuns didn't know the story, only the superiors did.
She went 49 years without speaking.
49 years without speaking. That was when she got breast cancer, with metastasis to the liver, already very weak, with chemo, with radiation, undergoing painful treatments. That was when the Blessed Sacrament passed through the convent infirmary. She felt it. She was going to receive communion like the 6 sisters do, and Our Lady appeared to her in her room.
That was 49 years later.
Later, more than 49 years, it's a little more, just saying. The time came because in 36, Father Curly and Maria da Luz herself were afraid to speak. They were afraid, but why? Because the bishop forbade it. Then Sister Adélia, already as a nun, Sister Adélia gathered the community and started to speak. When she started to speak, she didn't stop there. She talked about the details she had seen, how it had happened. The nuns decided to make a pilgrimage, and in less than a month, they were all here together. Then Sister Adélia, the superior, said she can't go because she could barely walk. She was very weak from the chemo treatment, very thin. She said, let me go. For the last time I saw the place, and it was to come here the last time I want to see the place where I saw Our Lady. Faced with such a request, the superior allowed it. She came with the sisters. She was the first to arrive here. The car stopped at the
You were with us, weren't you?
But the car stopped at Cajuero. We walked 2 kilometers in the mud, passed by a horse farm, cattle, and stables. She arrived here on the hill, came through the woods because there were no stairs. She was the first to arrive. She got here just fine. And the little sisters were tired, and she didn't need to hold on to the bushes. She didn't. A rosary in her hand and 2 roses in her hand. When everyone arrived, she knelt down, started to pray, and said, everyone here on your knees because Our Lady is present.
She was seeing again?
She was seeing again. Everyone was very moved. And she praying, talking to Our Lady, and she said to Our Lady, look, if you want me to tell this story, for me to keep telling it, I have to get better, heal me, ask your son to heal me, because sick like this, I can't.
Her sister, whose name was Maria da Luz, had a friend named Maria da Conceição, who was present at the first apparitions.
Really?
Her disappearance, she left the story. No one heard about her anymore. She lived, but no one else did.
There was little talk about it?
Nobody talked about it. We were left with only one psychic.
Yes.
That led people to question the truthfulness.
Not the truthfulness, but many or some people, especially on the internet, right? I mean, the internet is like an ownerless house. You say whatever you want. They say that Maria da Conceição was rejected from the convent for being black, poor, and illiterate. That is the biggest lie. Conceição didn't exist. She didn't feel a religious calling like Maria da Luz did, because Our Lady told her at 20 years old that she would awaken her religious vocation. And Maria da Conceição, On November 21st, suddenly she sits down on the ground like this, you know, here on the hill. And the priest he asked her what was wrong. She said, I'm not feeling well. He said, what is it? Aren't you seeing Our Lady? She said, I'm not seeing like I used to. I'm seeing it blurry, an image. So from that moment on, she didn't see anymore, at least here, because her father took her away to Arco Verde, which is a city near Pesqueira, right here. She must have lived a holy, devout life because she was very humble. She couldn't read, she couldn't write, she was quiet. And whoever saw Our Lady must have a holy life, right?
Sione, you were the person who heard the most stories, all told by her own sister. You were her confidant, appointed, as she used to say, secretary of Our Lady. Did she tell you what the 3 punishments were?
No, she doesn't talk about that. She didn't. She never said yes.
Nor no.
Neither yes nor no. Also because Our Lady warned us, but she gave the remedy. She showed how it might not happen. God is not categorical. The evil comes, the punishment comes, and that's it. It comes. She asked for prayer and penance so it wouldn't happen on August 21st. She asked for a little party up here because she would bring great news, good news for the people of the region. That's when she came. Without baby Jesus in her arms, she had been appearing since August 6th with baby Jesus in her left arm, his little arm around her neck. And she said, I came to bring great news. Our Lady came with her hands extended downward and rays were coming out of her hands. And Our Lady said, these are the graces I came to bring to those who wish to receive them. And then she says, many graces, even using words like that, are poured onto the ground for lack of those who wish to receive them. Sometimes there are a lot of people who come up here and don't feel anything. They leave without the grace. The grace comes, but if you let it pass by, your life will be different. But the one meant for that moment goes away.
What is your dream for this sanctuary now and for all this history? Finally, the process is moving forward. The beatification process of Adélia is no longer so distant. Even the possibility of the Vatican recognizing the apparitions.
That's
your dream?
There are 2 different processes, one about the apparitions and one about the life of Sister Adélia. As a servant of God, she is already recognized for her life, mission, and work. Charity in loving others, in prayer, living the virtues of humility, charity, and faith. A life sanctified by the grace of God and the grace of Our Lady that she received. Here she knew how to keep this grace and put it into practice. So this is a process for her to be beatified and become a saint. The process of the apparitions takes longer because it's supernatural. So there has to be more studies from the Vatican, from the priests, you know. But at least we hope. I still hope to see Sister Adélia on the altars, the first saint from Pernambuco, and for the apparitions to be recognized. Because the people are recognizing it, the people are coming, the people are arriving, they're coming from everywhere.
Again, we're talking and people keep arriving here.
Always arriving, always from Monday to Monday. I think it's different from some other sanctuaries because here we have the physical presence of Our Lady. She spoke, she smiled, she blessed, she talked. She almost let the crown fall. Once the crown, she was running her hand over her head. So something like that, very human, very suitable for children to understand at that time what a visit from Our Lady was.
The story has been gaining strength in Pernambuco and throughout Brazil. The movement for the beatification of Sister Adélia has also been growing in the Vatican, and soon she may become blessed and then Saint Sister Adélia. I return to Recife, where our story began, with everything buzzing in my head, ready to start telling everything I experienced. And our journey continues.